Hold on tight, spider monkey.
As if you could outrun me!
It's more than some crush, Bella.
How? I don't even know what you're saying. How?
It's one that I hope you enjoy disappointment.
Well, got a blast!
Well, I'm glad we got that settled.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you guys ready to go?
Yeah.
Cool. We're recording.
From the Hoedown Throwdown?
Yeah. No, I didn't record that.
Okay.
Yeah, you guys missed a really nice rendition of Hoedown Throwdown.
We'll sing it again for you sometime.
Yeah.
It's top tier Patreon.
Yes, the $100 one. No.
Okay, but yeah. Welcome back to, oh my god, the 5th episode. I feel like we should have like a cheers, but 5th episode of my Twilight Fantasy. I'm Anna.
I'm Maya.
This is T. Dreezy up in the cut.
I was confused why I didn't say that last episode.
Yeah, I noticed it right after I said it. I was like, hello? Who am I? If I'm not T. Dreezy.
So Tyree.
T. Dreezy.
But yeah, we're here at episode 5. My Twilight Fantasy, where we bring you all things Twilight.
Love and hate.
Love and hate. Mostly love. But with just some criticisms.
Definitely. Some criticisms.
Sometimes harsh.
Sometimes harsh, but all in love.
Yeah.
Guys, can you imagine just like if fucking Robert Pattinson listened to this?
No.
I thought you were about to say effing Robert Pattinson, and I was like, whoa.
Well, I mean, can you imagine?
No.
I think we were talking about this at work once.
Fucking Robert Pattinson?
Yes.
Every time I see him, I just
Paul
think
was talking about it. At least Paul was talking about it, and
oh yeah, Paul.
he mentioned the temperature issues that would be involved.
You
Might
said-
not be super pleasant.
That'd be cold as hell.
Exactly.
Frigid dick.
Maybe that's why Bella pegs him.
Okay.
Every time I think of him, I just think of
Gotta
like
go.
mutton chops. Mutton chops.
What?
You gotta think though, okay, so like the biology, I know we said we weren't gonna get into the biology of like vampire sex, but you gotta admit it would make sense if she were to top.
Maybe.
Why is that, Anna?
Okay, vampires don't have blood in them, so technically vampires can't get an erection. Because that's what it is.
But maybe
don't have
because he's
blood?
always ice hard.
No.
Though. But he's all like, you know, when they're like his neck is cracking and then like it's like ice. Maybe it's literally like his.
It's just hard all the time.
Yeah. But he just has a little dick.
Well,
so
that
you
would
can't
explain
really
why
see it.
everyone's so
God.
attracted to him.
He's just walking around.
Just knocking stuff over.
Gotta
No,
duct tape it down.
But maybe
Oh,
like
God.
if he is the one like topping or whatever, it's like he take, you know, like those little hand packs that like warm your hand that you like crush up.
He puts hand warmers around
yeah,
his dick.
yeah, in the condom, and he's just like
In the condom?
All right. Anyway.
just points like boiling water.
You know, getting down to the nitty gritty here.
So we're talking about chapter 5 this week, which is called Blood Type.
Yeah.
I am the most excited for this chapter that I have been so far of any chapter.
Okay.
Go off, go ham.
Well, do you want me to give a quick overview?
Yes.
Cool. All right. So, yeah, we ended in chapter 4 where Edward gives another one of his dumbass, confusing messages.
Per usual.
And chapter 5 is actually just the same day. It's just later that day. And so Bella's in a haze for the rest of the day until she gets into the cafeteria at lunch, and Edward is like beckoning her to come sit with him.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And everyone's like, oh shit, go over there. What the fuck's happening? But this is really where Edward and Bella have their first, like, I would say, like, relationship building conversation.
Yes.
And
totally
it's
skipped
flirtatious. It's where we get the first, like, I feel like the first spark of us wanting to ship them, you know? And then, so they, you know, flirt for a little bit, and then Edward is interested in hearing Bella's theories on what he might be, because at this point, it's pretty obvious he's different.
I'm different.
So they have that conversation, and then later that day at biology, they start doing blood type tests, and, you know, Edward conveniently skips class, but Bella, being the...
Basic itch that she is.
Thank you.
Refuses to skip.
refuses to skip, but faints at the sight of all the blood, which
is...
it's a prick of the finger.
She does not even see any blood before she starts feeling faint.
Yeah, she smells it.
And let's think about like breaking
I
down.
have lots of notes on that.
I do
but
too.
Later.
Yeah. Okay, so... Oh, what?
I was just thinking like in breaking down part 1, but I didn't want to get too ahead of myself.
Yeah.
But you know.
We'll get to all that. So she's taken to the nurse by Mike, who always wants to be her fucking knight in shining armor.
Right.
But is intervened by Edward.
In the first and only scene in this book where it will make sense for there to be outside space between different buildings on the campus of the high school.
Right. Good point.
Yeah. Edward swoops in and decides to carry Bella
Yeah.
the rest of the way.
That bitch can walk.
She totally could. She was walking before.
Definitely. She was actually beating him to let her down.
Yikes.
Anyway.
And also, no mention of how cold he is.
Well, I thought she was...
None.
I was thinking because, like, well, it says, like, he, like, holds her out, like, so she's not touching him. But then I was thinking, like, she was, like, putting her head against the pavement because it was so cold. I was thinking, like, he was going to, like, caress her head onto his shoulder. And she's like, oh, you're so cold. Yeah. But, like, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because everyone loves cuddling with a cold, dead guy, right?
Yum. Mm.
Anyway.
God. All right. But, yeah, just the end of the chapter. She recovers miraculously because, you know, what a fright. And Edward gets her at a gym class and the rest of the school day, which I wish I fucking could have done that.
Right.
And then he insists on giving her a ride home, and he does, and I have a lot of thoughts on that.
Definitely, right.
So, I'll let you
go
guys dive in.
Back to the beginning of the chapter.
Okay.
My first thought, so this scene shows, like, okay, Edward has gotten over his, we should be friends, I'm tired of staying away from you. And he's, like, actively pursuing her. He clearly likes her, and this is, like, the way that he beckons her over to the lunch table is so forward in a way that the movie version of Edward would never, ever be.
Never.
Never.
It's like I said to you, it's like they have a very, very similar conversation to this in the movie, but all they did was just suck out all flirting.
Yes.
Completely. Like, there's no, like, playfulness under their conversation in the movie, and in here, like, it's very evident, you know?
Do you think it's because Kristen Stewart couldn't convey that, and that's why they just, like, changed, like, the whole 4th and 5th chapters in the movie?
I think it was Robert Pattinson.
Yeah, I think it was his, like, whole wanting to play Edward as, like, the super brooding and self-loathing vampire that she kind of had to adapt to that, maybe.
Can you define brooding? What does that mean?
Just like, alright, don't eat the microphone. Let me give you a real definition, because my definition's gonna be a good one.
Go ahead.
It says showing deep unhappiness of thought.
Okay.
So it's the way he looks. You know what I mean? Like,
okay.
You can tell
It's the
something's
facial
going. It's
expressions.
the expression, yeah.
Okay.
Or
Just
appearing
curious.
darkly menacing.
I just wanted to discuss that because
Yeah.
often the Twilight series is discussed as brooding. That
Yeah.
word comes up a lot, and I don't know. I wanted to talk about that.
Yeah, because that's the word I always think of when I think of Edward, because, like, his face is always just like,
Right.
like, I can't even express it in words, but yeah.
Tyree's
Stop.
bored, and so she's trying ASMR. If you hear any gentle chewing in the background, it's because Tyree's bored. She leans back. Anyway.
Yeah, so more about that conversation.
Yeah, more about that conversation. In the last episode, in the last chapter discussion, we talked about how there was some foreshadowing in Bella's dream to New Moon. And then on page 91, there's even more foreshadowing when Bella says, I just wondered if you could warn me beforehand the next time you decide to ignore me for my own good, just so I'm prepared. And Edward says, that sounds fair. He was pressing his lips together to keep from laughing when I looked up. So he's, like, joking it off. This is, like, a kind of a flirtatious moment.
Yeah.
But it's, like, light. It's not brooding.
Right.
For once.
For once.
Can we talk about when he talks about, he's basically talking about how his involvement with Bella is, like, sending him to hell? Like, when they first start talking, I'm just like, how do those two correlate?
I wrote that down because it didn't because she doesn't understand like what he's saying, why he's saying it, because he's still being like super cryptic and whatever. I think it's one of my favorite lines in anything ever. It's just where he says, well, I decided as long as I'm going to hell, I might as well do it thoroughly.
Right, which is, okay, so imagine you are, like, despite your own wanting not to be attracted to someone, you're very attracted to someone, and they keep telling you, oh, I'm dangerous. As long as I'm going to hell, I may as well do it thoroughly. My mind goes, definitely not to vampire.
No.
Or superhero or anything like that. My mind would be like
axe murderer.
Right, who have you killed?
Serial rapist.
Yeah, serial rapist, BDSM, mental illness.
Insert 50 Shades.
That guy that was dating Gypsy Rose Blanchard.
Oh, shit,
Is that her name? Blanchard?
Blanchard, I don't know.
Anyway, so through that conversation, I was kind of tracking, like, the moments that they were, like, flirting, and if I was taking part in this conversation, would this make him more or less attractive?
Less.
Is this sweet or fucking scary?
It's all scary.
Yeah.
But again, like, Bella just has a super fucked up filter. Mm-hmm. Because I think, going back to last episode, we were talking about, like, that void that kind of her dreams were alluding to. It's like she kind of sees things through rose-colored glasses in a way where she's still a super depressing person, but once it comes to Edward, it's just everything's captivating.
Everything. Yeah.
I think
nothing's a warning sign. It all draws her in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which that might just be like a vampire thing again, but from a normal teenage girl's point of view, yeah, he's fucking terrifying.
Right. Mm-hmm. Also, when I read these books for the first time, I already knew what they were about. But going into this blind, would your mind be going to vampire places at this point? Or would you be thinking axe murderer?
I don't know. I wish I could go back to... So, this came out when I was in 5th grade.
Mm-hmm.
Big yikes.
TBT. But I read this when I was in 6th grade, probably like a year after it started getting big, and that's when you're starting to kind of discover those kind of relationships. And so I think you kind of just, you take on the persona of Bella.
Yeah.
Especially being super young, like at 11 and 12, when you don't know at all what's going on. Mm-hmm. So I think we just went fully into the relationship. Like, this is normal. This is fine.
But would you, he's basically asking Bella to guess what he is, and as the reader, as, like, someone who might, if you could manage to read this book and not know what it is about.
Right.
This would be your invitation to guess what you think Edward is. And I just don't, I mean...
I don't know.
I don't know. I'm curious what people would have to say. Well, but there might not be anyone left on the face
I
of
think because
the
it
earth.
was advertised as a vampire book.
Yeah. But
that
also,
was taken away from readers.
Mm-hmm.
But also, like, when they talk about, like, how, like, when you had mentioned, like, I think a couple episodes before, like, how when his eyes change color, and that means, like, when he hasn't fed and when he has fed. Like, I would, like, get the supernatural thing from him, especially in this chapter when he's talking about how she's, like, queasy around blood and stuff like that. I feel like I would start to put 2 and 2 together, but, like, not fully, like, because he has, like, super strength, and then you're like, okay, lit, and then it's just, like, the blood, and then there's
his eyes.
Yeah, his eyes.
I'm just curious if there's...
Well, I don't think there is, but for him also, like, wanting her to... I've made a note of this, too, like, warning her about himself and all of that. He still is giving away a lot of information.
Yes.
Like, a lot. Mm-hmm. And it's very clear that he is something that's dangerous and something that shouldn't be fucked with, basically. And maybe that's the jump that we made, because it was advertised as a vampire book. And then he's immediately jumping into this. We're just like, oh, he's the vampire. Mm-hmm. As the reader, like, when this initially came out, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I don't think anything immediately jumps out as vampire. Besides, maybe if you can automatically just... Well, no, we're not even to Jacob yet, are we?
Mm-mm. But when... that's, I think, in the next chapter, and I don't want to get too into that right now, but boy, does he spell it out.
He really does.
Oh, man, that really just took any kind of mystery right out of it.
Right. That's what I was just about to say. I was like, oh, if you could connect the two, but I forgot, like, oh, no. That's,
He even
like,
says, like,
almost
"Oh, the
immediately
Cullen
after
family."
this. Yeah. Yeah, straight up. So,
Yeah. So, okay, I was just curious about that. And I'm also trying to, as I was reading this chapter, I was trying to track, like, add things to my list of things that Bella and Edward have in common.
yeah.
And that.
I've been thinking about that more since you, like, brought it up.
Mm-hmm.
And how Stephanie Meyer continually tries to show Bella's maturity.
Yep.
And because, again, they talk about her mother. And Bella just continues to use the same, like, verbiage for her mom. Erratic, crazy, fun, but, like, can't tell left from right, up from down.
Mm-hmm.
And
Something is not right
know.
about that.
what'd you say?
Something struck me as, like, really weird and off about that at the end of the chapter, or just to skip ahead a little bit, when Edward's giving Bella the forced ride home, they end up talking about, he just out of the blue asks about her mom, and she says, oh, she's prettier than me, and talks more about her erratic behavior and stuff like that, how her new husband makes her feel young, and things like this. That also speaks to, like, maybe Bella's not normal or okay. Like, maybe Bella is depressed for legit reasons, and it's not just about Edward Cullen, and this girl needs therapy, not a vampire boyfriend. Right. But
Yeah, no, I think that becomes more and more evident. But I think also, like, when this first came out, that's like 14 years ago, mental health still wasn't, like, a spoken about thing.
right.
You know, like, it wasn't addressed, it wasn't brought up. There's still, like, a whole, stigma around it, which is stupid, but I don't think that they could have really talked about Bella and her mental health back then without it being, like, labeled as that kind of book. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that's interesting I feel like some of the things that happen in this book, you can't, not that you couldn't get away with it now, but it just, people would take it so differently
Yeah,
if it were
for
published
sure.
today.
Bella, everything would be problematic. Like, there would be, like, an uprise over this book
Yeah.
coming out.
And I think there was a little bit of a quiet, pushback against, whoa, this relationship doesn't seem healthy.
I think especially once the movies came out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
I
then you
may know
can
that.
see it.
Yeah.
But they left out the scene where Edward is forcing Bella to let him give her a ride home is not in the movie.
No.
And let's talk about that. Are you
That's
ready to talk about that?
Yes. Okay, so, like, that's one of the first times that we get a real sense of Edward's overbearing and possessiveness. I can't say that without my S is whistling, guys.
It's all right.
I literally made a note of that, though. I said,
Yeah.
like, how is Bella constantly ignoring Edward's, like, toxic vibes? Like, as far as, like, his constant mood swings, and then, like, him forcing her to do things that she doesn't want to do. And, like, especially, like, you even see that when, after they got into the car accident, and, like, he lied and said that, like, well, she did hit her head, but, like, he was saying, like, she might have a concussion, and then she got sent to the hospital. It was just, like, he just has this thing where he's just wanting to control everything that she does.
Right.
Yeah, I put that down, too, where, yeah, he always has to be in control. And I try to think about that a little deeper, like, not coming just from, like, a man's point of view, but from, like, a vampire. Not that I know what that is, but
Right.
he is kind of making himself vulnerable to a human and, giving into whatever it is drawing him to her. And so he's trying to dominate the conversation, trying to get to know her, but still trying to hold off on her, like, getting to know him. So maybe that's kind of where that control is coming from, and it's just coming across wrong. I'm not trying to give him the benefit of the doubt there, but, like,
There's got to be something.
there has to be something that's, like, really driving him to be that way besides just being protective.
Like,
Like,
giving off PG Christian Grey vibes.
yeah.
Oof.
Oof.
Yeah. The word that did it for me was when he was physically, like, pulling her by her jacket.
Yeah.
And then she kind of, like, clearly does not want this to happen. She doesn't want him to drive her home. And she's, like, looking around, like, gauging her options of, like, well, either I get in this car right now or I, like, try to run to my car. And he says, I'll just drag you back. He threatened, guessing my plan. Threatened.
Yeah.
So.
Which I feel like
is this supposed to be funny and flirty?
That's what I'm
it's
saying.
not.
I feel like Stephanie Meyer is trying to make it like a playful thing. But when you use words like threaten, and you know what? That really might be something that we're interpreting now.
Yeah, that's very
Because
possible.
that's the culture now, is we're more aware of those things. We're, we're trying to actively push against that kind of behavior. But back then, it was like a very unspoken, and you could still play around like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Is pulling someone by pulling and like pushing and shoving, is that like a 17-year-old thing that people do?
I think so.
I think so too.
I think it is, but I think it's also for like people who have a more established relationship.
Yeah,
Not
they
these
don't even.
strangers.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. I also wanted to, on a lighter note, draw our attention back to something else that's very cringy that Bella says.
Yeah.
Maybe this is just me. I'm sorry if anyone who's listening to this says this, but on page 32,
32?
I mean 92, sorry.
Oh,
Can't
I was
read.
like, oh, we going way back.
Dyslexia. Anyway. So this is back to their first conversation of the chapter in the lunchroom. And Edward is trying to force Bella to tell him what her theories are about, like, what he is. And she doesn't want to.
Right.
And he's kind of, like, hypnotizing her almost. Not really, but, like, just able to convince her to do things she doesn't want to do. Like, able to convince her to say things she doesn't want to do.
Glances up through his long black lashes.
Ugh.
Ew.
But what did it for me was, it says, I blinked, my mind going blank. Holy crow, how did he do that?
Holy crow.
Holy crow. Holy cringe.
I think I honestly, like, my brain edited that out.
No.
I've never... Holy crow?
No.
So, adding to my list of things that they have in common, speaking in strange ways, I guess.
Yeah.
I feel like Bella does that way more than Edward, though.
Yeah. Well, it's like I said, what was it, a couple episodes ago, like, she doesn't use contractions. She, and I always fail to come up with examples, but, like, every time I watch the movie, every time she says something, I'm just like, why? Why do you talk like that?
Yeah.
Nobody talks like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's definitely something that they have in common. But he's much more, like, elegant. I don't even know if that's the word, but just, like,
Yeah,
it rolls off the tongue for him a lot better than her.
Yeah, homeboys have like 100 years.
Right.
Yeah,
It all
for sure.
comes back to that for me. Yeah.
You don't want a 100-year-old boyfriend?
You would think
I'm
would
good
have
on
a
that.
conversation,
Thank you
but-
very much. But can I read my updated list of things that they have in common now?
Yeah, please do.
I couldn't find my old list. I know I said it, so maybe you guys can go back to maybe episode 1 and remember that.
Yeah.
But from this chapter, the things that they have in common, as far as I can tell, are that they're, like, mysterious to their classmates in kind of an intriguing way. They never eat lunch. They speak in strange ways. They are really sensitive to the smell of blood itself. And maybe, to me, this suggests that maybe Bella is destined to become a vampire.
Yeah.
A little bit. And we can talk about that. That's on page 100. I also said they sometimes act like they're older than 17. They both love classical music.
Weird
I guess.
flex, but okay.
Yeah.
Definitely weird flex. And they're also, I just felt like overall they're brought together so much more in this chapter than ever before, and we actually like get to see their personalities like together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not just like Bella one-sided being like, why won't he talk to me?
Right, and him just being a total, like,
Unreadable
enigma.
dick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
unreadable dick. The story of Edward Cullen.
Yeah. This is kind of like the first quality time they've ever had together too. Like eating lunch together.
Yeah, I was trying to break down like
where
why
neither
they,
of them
like,
eat.
Yeah.
They just eat air.
Another. Oh boy. We don't talk about that enough on the podcast.
I don't think we've talked about it at all.
Yeah, our whole like, was it a synopsis?
If we give an overview every chapter, but we could give an overview of the entire saga.
Yeah.
Tyree?
3 words.
Heavy breathing and nature.
But that's based off the movies.
Yeah.
Because you just hear a lot of, like...
A lot.
All the time.
Right.
You can't say that now.
Jacob?
But
As if you could have run me.
already know our favorite moments of our highlights of the dialogue and noises of the series by our intro. So
Oh my god, there's just hell yeah.
yeah.
Just
Email
so-
us with your favorite Twilight soundbite at
Heck yeah.
mytwilightfantasypodcast@gmail.com.
You know what I really want to see? I really would love it if you guys would reenact a scene from
Yeah.
Twilight.
Oh, yeah.
And send us a video of
Big
that
bet.
from or to mytwilightfantasypodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, I'm just gonna get a TikTok.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
No.
And I'm gonna make a video for
All right, that's on you, girl. I don't
Yes,
want
you
anything
can
to
do
with
that. We are not associated.
I was kidding.
Changes current TikTok into the podcast TikTok. Trying to find a use for current TikTok account.
I still have one. I just need to.
Oh god.
Yeah, they don't like TikTok. I mean, I used to watch it to
TikTok
like.
needs to burn to the ground. Literally, the only people who use it are children and mentally ill people.
There are some old Viners
and drug
on there.
addicts.
There are some old Viners on
Drug
there.
addict.
Those are the only people I see on there.
And some old Viners. Those are literally the only people I follow.
All the old Viners who
followed.
are actually good are now YouTubers.
That is true.
Facts.
T.
MG.
Piping hot.
I see what you did there.
Do we want to talk about any more of the scenes from this episode? Do we want to talk about Bella's fainting?
I want to talk about
Oh.
Edward's relation to Bella and how why I was really trying to rationalize why he was attracted to her
Yeah.
and why she was attracted to him, because of course we've already talked about how much of a basic itch Bella is, and it's literally she literally does nothing. She's not involved in any sport, any extracurriculars. She doesn't do anything outside of school. She's literally doing nothing but going home and making enchiladas for Charlie anyway.
Right.
Which you can learn how to make at the Vampire or the Twilight Festival
Yeah.
this year.
Catch us at that festival.
Kiss
me outside?
Sorry, Tyree, go ahead.
You're fine. And then there's Edward, whose life is always too spicy for the pepper. So that's why she's attracted to him. But I'm thinking why on earth would he be attracted to her? So I wrote down a couple of notes and one of the things is I feel as a vampire he has access to a lot of things and but his family doesn't want him around Bella and being involved with her. So that's why he chooses to hang out with her. Why he's so bipolar, all that extra stuff when he's trying to go back and forth. Crap. Where was I at? Also, because he also I think he's also attracted to the fact that she doesn't have love for herself, and then he doesn't have love for himself.
Right.
So they're let's do this, and I'm just thinking that's very toxic. But go off. Crap. I mixed this all up. But basically for him, he's just looking for normalcy. He's looking for something normal, and him not being able to read her mind is causing him to interact with her and.
I think you're so right. Normalcy. That's
Yeah.
what they're looking for.
Yeah. Well, that's what he's looking for. She's looking for the spice. He's looking
You're
for
right.
normalcy.
You're right. The spice.
The
Spice to
sauce.
fill her void.
Too spicy.
It's too spicy. That's a good point. Yeah, I agree with that. I also have something else I wanted to bring up. So at the beginning of their conversation in the cafeteria in the book, wait a second, I'm sorry, sidetrack. The way that they portray this in the movie is she's just eating lunch with her friends, and then she goes up to play
salad
arts and
bar.
crafts with her fucking salad. And that's where that's where she does the so obvious knock the apple off, and Edward does some stupid circus trick with his foot and catches it in his hand, and they recreate the book cover. It's
Okay, but where did the book cover come from, though?
yeah, nothing's explained.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
Anyway,
Maybe,
Sorry.
okay. Conspiracy theory.
okay, wait, you come up with the conspiracy. I'm gonna look it up.
Okay, here's my guess.
Okay,
I think it's biblical.
there's a lot of allegories in the book.
Yikes, I haven't noticed any. But, I also don't read the Bible very often,
Well,
so.
me neither, but
You already started building after you said biblical.
I mean, we could do an
boom.
entire thing at the end of this book on that. And it's actually kind of interesting, but also why?
Why?
Okay, but like, which one of them is the forbidden fruit? Is Bella the forbidden fruit?
No,
that-
it's obviously Edward.
Edward's the forbidden fruit?
But for
Bella's
Edward,
Eve.
Bella's Eve?
Yeah, she
Yeah,
takes
of
the
course.
apple.
Yeah.
But also, kind of for Edward, he hates himself for it, and he also sees Bella as his forbidden fruit too.
Yeah, it's like he's a lion, she's a stupid lamb.
Yikes.
It's literally the forbidden fruit. That's the meaning. And it's just
And he's
Edward's
protecting
hands,
it.
yeah,
Yeah.
giving it to her. Yeah. So, well, we figured that out pretty easily.
Yeah.
Good job, guys. But yeah, we should do an episode on that because it's actually really, really interesting.
Yeah, I'd like to.
But anyway, before I got sidetracked by the horrible portrayal of this conversation in the movie, Bella kind of goes the hell off on Edward. And it's like the first time, like it's on page 90. And,
Oh, yeah.
you know, when he's starting to get playful with her and then he finally is trying to get some answers out of her, like, what do you think I am? And she's like, I'm not going to tell you. And he's like, oh, it's frustrating. And then that sets her off. And she goes off for like 2 paragraphs, like really sarcastically, but also actually frustrated, and admits in that like all of this keeps her up at night. And I'm like, girl,
You haven't talked to this dude
Yeah.
in like 6 weeks.
yeah,
Let it
or
go.
for real at all.
Yeah.
And it's such an out of character Bella thing to do, I feel like. For her to get this like passionate. I don't know. It really like threw me for a second.
Yeah.
Because it just doesn't seem like she usually would just have like a quick snarky comment to that. You know what
and
I
then
mean?
like
And
quietly
then move on.
feel like crying and move
Yeah,
on.
and then we'd have her stupid dumb bitch monologue.
And you have her hair blanketing her face.
Yeah. Yeah. You'd have that, and then it would just like go back to her interacting, but like she actually just like let it out. But again, it's so early in their, you can't even call it a relationship at this point.
Yeah.
It was really out of place for me. I thought it was really strange.
Yeah.
For sure.
But I mean,
Like, I
if
think
you got to
I
get
should
it out, get it out.
And then also, my note on this section was, this is written as tense, but you would think that this would be somewhat flirtatious, right? Because they're described as, after she does that, he's like trying to lighten it by saying, "You got a bit of a temper, don't you?" And she says, "I don't like double standards." And then we stared at each other unsmiling. Like, and then they just changed the topic.
Yeah.
Boy, that's pretty tense. I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine talking to a stranger like that.
Right. They're all over the place. And you're right. You don't just bounce back and forth like that with someone who you don't have like a deep
Right.
knowing.
Even
Yeah.
if you do, like, you don't go from roasting someone to flirting with someone like serious roasting like that
Yeah.
to,
Right.
"Ha, ha, ha, you're so pretty." Like, no, that doesn't happen.
Yeah. No, it doesn't.
Rotisserie chicken to like,
Right.
Yeah. No, that's a good point. There's just so many questions I have, and like, do we attribute all of this like feeling of they already know each other to that indescribable vampire allure?
Maybe, and that's I think maybe why I'm wanting so badly to have Edward's inner thoughts, because like maybe that could help explain it, like kind of a Vampire Diaries situation where like he actually was watching her for a long time or something like that.
Yeah. You know
Inference.
what this just made me think of? Lucifer.
What about it?
First of all, love that show. Are you all up to date?
Absolutely not, but it's fine if you spoil it.
Tyree. Oh, Maya. Everything's your fault.
The saying at work all the time is what now?
Damn it, Tyree.
yeah.
Everything
always
is
me.
just like
Yeah.
everything comes back to Twilight. Everything is Tyree's fault.
Like, I'm not even going to be there. They just call me. Damn it. No.
We made her a shirt that says "Damn it, Tyrese." So
Yeah,
it's that.
it's
deep.
perfect.
Pretty lit.
It's pretty lit. Everything's my fault. It's great. I love it. But no, that wanting of Edward's kind of inner monologue there reminds me of Lucifer, where I don't want to spoil it.
I don't care.
But we could also spoil it for the listeners, though.
Yeah. Okay.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler. Boop boop boop. Anyway.
Cover yours for 30 seconds.
Yeah. So there's a point in the third or fourth? I don't know. Mm-hmm. Where Lucifer finds out that God, his father, has put Chloe, his main love interest for all of this, purposely put her in his path. So this is all God's plan. And so she is falling in love with him. He falls in love with her, but he distanced himself from her because if this is all God's plan, then does she actually have a say in her feelings? Is this actually what she wants? Mm-hmm. And so he takes it upon himself to be like, there can't be a relationship because I don't know if this is actually a real thing. Is that kind of what Edward's coming at, where is this an actual real thing? Because everything is telling Bella to want me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's not her choice.
It's not her choice. That really made me think of that the other day.
We might attribute him trying to get to know her, offering to take her to Seattle since she wants to go instead of going to a dance or whatever, to him wanting to actually see if there's something there. Maybe if we're being really generous.
Right.
Lucifer can get it though.
Lucifer can so get it.
Light disagree.
Why?
I don't know. He doesn't really do it for me.
It didn't do it for me either.
I think I like this character more than even though
wow,
both
that's
of them can get it. Tickle my
really
pickles.
not what I would expect from you, Tyree.
With liking the character more than I really think it was his character that I'm just.
I think we need to have a Patreon series about Lucifer because Tyree and I could go in.
I'll try to get caught up.
You have to.
Yeah.
It's so good.
I feel like that's what this podcast is, but with Twilight. You guys were like,
it is.
Oh my god, we love it. Let's talk about it all the time. And I was like, let me go buy the books.
Let me catch up.
No.
Yeah, spin-off for Lucifer.
But again, everything comes back to Twilight. So that's how Lucifer does.
Still get it.
Yeah.
So get it. All right. So what else are you guys thinking about this chapter?
I kind of wish I had more to say about the scene in the clinic, but I feel like we really discussed it all.
I mean, it's kind of a there's nothing that really goes down in it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Edward just seems excited by how upset he's making Mike.
Yeah.
Which is a little gross.
It's just a pissing contest.
Yeah.
And
it also reads a little bit as controlling and scary, but
Yeah. And also he's amused that Bella is sensitive to blood.
Mm-hmm.
Because, again, he's just enjoying this, inner irony of everything that's going down between them.
Yeah. And at one point, I think he says either humans can't smell blood or people can't smell blood. And I was like...
Yeah, he said...
What?
I said Edward continuously insinuates that he's
not human.
Yeah, and then she's just going over
the fuck
Bella's
you
head.
mean they can't? Everyone can smell blood.
Right.
Yeah.
And that... the discussion of blood so much in this chapter did start to make me feel a little gross. Mm-hmm. Just, I don't know.
Really?
Maybe I'm sensitive to blood, but even the way that she was talking about it in the classroom, I was like, ugh. But also, not to the point of having to be carried to the nurse's office. So, take it easy.
Yeah, she's a bitch.
Yeah.
Bella is just full of surprises.
On one hand, I'm
she's
surprised.
The most
and on the
boring
other hand,
surprises, but...
Yeah, I'm not surprised at all.
She's the most basic person. I literally pictured it.
Yeah.
Mike's just like, knight in shining army, and she's just like, oh, let me just lay on the pavement. And then it was just like, big macho man, hey, lifts her up. And then, my thing is, Homegirl was laying on the ground. Did you not think someone was going to snatch you up? When Mello lays on the ground, I snatch him up. I'm like, we're out in public, my guy.
Pull yourself together.
You don't get off the ground.
Can Mello please be a guest on the podcast? Please.
Just a couple mellow clips.
Please.
He's literally the worst.
Did we explain who Mello was last week?
I don't know. Mello is my nephew, and he was
favorite person.
No, he was put in my life to irritate me, and I'm
He's
convinced.
He's
so
adorable.
funny. At what, 8 years old?
He's 7.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
He's so funny.
He's a mini you.
No, he is not. He literally is on this earth to irritate me.
I can roast Tyree so hard. It's great. Even like more than we can.
Yeah, definitely.
He like, you guys like roast me, but then he just knows what like makes me mad.
I think. Well, that's the thing. You never get mad,
Yeah.
or like
Or
you're
upset at all.
you're such a positive person. I've never seen you genuinely angry. I think the closest I've ever seen you angry is when we couldn't get tattoos that one time.
Yeah.
I wasn't mad.
Yeah, you were. It's fine.
I wasn't
It's
mad.
fine, I get it.
I was sad.
Disappointed.
I wasn't mad. I was just disappointed. But like, I don't know. He's just like today he kept calling me Miss Tyree, and I was like, "You've never called me that before." And then he was just,
It's just shit like that. It's like, why? But it's funny.
and he was,
It's so funny.
and he had the audacity to call me old,
Oof.
and I was just like,
Has he ever called you aunt or anything?
he does it when he wants to irritate me. Because he literally always just calls me Tyree, but he doesn't say Tyree, he says Tywee, because he still doesn't know how to pronounce anything.
So cute.
No. He gets roasted for that on a daily. Anyway.
How does he? Can he pronounce his own name? Mello. Okay.
But like, there were
Well,
like
Mello is adorable.
That is.
yeah, he just doesn't know. Like, there are just certain things that he does. Like, he always says Leonardo instead of Leonardo, and I make him say it all the time, just to like, what was he saying? Was he saying nothing? And he was like nothing, and he can't say nothing.
Aw.
And I was just like, get it together. You're about to be 8 pretty soon.
Oh.
Roasting a child out of their speech impediment. Wish someone did that to me.
I'm gonna learn it today.
He's gonna make a great mom someday.
She's not having kids.
I'm adopting, but like, I don't want to.
Oh, wait a second. Can we talk about this? Because this is ridiculous.
About me wanting my 5 kids all around the same age and all adopting.
Has she ever told you her plan?
Of course, Anna. Of course.
It upsets me so much because it's so unlikely.
Yeah, it's the plot of a novel. It's the plot of a sitcom. It's not going to happen.
It's like a Stephanie Meyer book. Everything's unrealistic.
I feel like it'll be a little little realistic. Just a
Of
tad.
course you do, Mrs. Wattpad.
I'm sorry. It's like not all my stories on Wattpad are like unrealistic. Some of them are very realistic. So
You know what? One of our episodes on Patreon should be about, like, kids and stuff like that. One of our get-to-know ones, because Maya and I had a really good conversation the other day about if we want kids, about kids, and we went in on baby names.
Yeah.
I have a
And
list of baby names in my phone.
we have a list of baby names that we want to yeet off this planet.
Mm-hmm. Oh, like that video that you sent into the group chat when they were talking about like
Well, I sent that after our conversation, too. Did you watch that?
I don't remember.
I sent a YouTube video. It's Trey Kennedy, like one of those old Viners, and it was like roll call in 2019, and it's just
He's on
every
TikTok, by the way.
dumbass name you could think
How do I
of.
keep missing the good videos you're sending?
I don't know because it's
either.
really good.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was
You'll have to go
great.
back and watch it.
Yeah.
It reminded me
weak.
like it was like
Because at the end of it, he was just like throws his shit on the ground. I was like, God damn it!
it was giving me like substitute teacher vibes, but like
Yeah.
without like the mispronunciations. It was just like, why is this your effing name?
Yeah, the last one, he's like, God, did I miss anyone? And this guy's like, yeah. He's like, okay, what's your name? And he's like, I'm Zach. He's like, thank God. Can you spell that for me? And he goes, X-A. And he's like, God damn it.
Is it really XAQ?
Yeah. It was like Xaquuerie, Zachary.
Gotta go. Gotta go.
Got a blast.
How do we get all the way to baby names from Twilight?
I have no
We
idea.
started talking about Mello, but I can't remember why we were talking about Mello.
I asked if he could be, or no, I don't know.
Yeah, if he could be a special
Yeah,
guest.
if he
but
could be
why?
a guest.
Yeah, and then I shut that down.
We'll have to do that.
We're not gonna have to
Yeah,
do that.
well, I think we've analyzed this chapter to holy hell.
Yeah, probably. So, should we give our poll update? because we know you guys care as much as we do.
Yeah, you're gonna get to know him. Don't you worry.
Yeah.
Getting to know you.
We will tell you every aspect of his life until he finally agrees to come on our podcast.
So this week, is it technically correct to say that his car is totaled?
Yeah, I mean, if the transmission's gone, it's fucked.
Yeah, and no one's paying for that hoe. That's
No.
Yeah. So Tyree one day had to give him a ride to work, and then I gave him a ride home from work, and it was riveting because it was the first time that we've forced him to hang out with us outside of work.
Mm-hmm. Which was so crazy. I totally forgot about that the other day because as we were getting ready to close and stuff, and he was just like standing there.
Yeah, he was
waiting.
waiting.
On his titties.
Why are you not just leaving without permission again?
Right.
Like you always do.
And I also wasn't sure if you had talked to him about, like, not being able to take him home, and so I was like, I was waiting for him to ask me for a ride, and I was like, oh my god, Anna, can you give me another task to do while he works up the courage for this? It was uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable.
Oh no, I all the way did not tell him. I know.
It's all good.
He didn't need to know. We were the macho men in this conversation. It was just...
We made the decision for him.
Yeah.
I told him he could walk if he would be more comfortable with that.
Well, he threatened to several times that day, but I mean...
He was in a really good mood, though, when I got there, and before you got there. You guys were bantering, and I think Tim was there, and Paul was in the best mood since... You know?
Oh, yeah. You know what that means.
No.
Yes.
You think?
Wait, what?
Yeah, with her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Really?
Oh,
what?
it has
All right,
to.
we gotta get off the podcast, but we're gonna discuss this more, don't you worry.
Okay.
Yeah, we're just
Yeah,
like, making eye contact.
So yeah, let's hold that thought. Thank you for listening. Go follow us on...
Oh, memes.
Oh, shit. Yeah. Okay, yeah, you guys...
You wanna go
one of
first?
I still don't have one.
Time for
All right,
our
well, I
weekly
have
meme
one.
corner.
At least one of us has one. It's a Twilight Pokemon crossover meme. So it's a picture, it's 2 frames. The first one is Bella's face, and she says, "You're pale white and ice cold. I know what you are." And then out of frame, there's like another text box that says, "Say it." And she says, "Vanillite," which I guess is a vanilla ice cream Pokemon.
There's a vanilla ice cream Pokemon?
Apparently, I'm looking at it right now. Here,
What the
wanna see it?
fuck? Let me see. Oh my god,
kinda
that's so cute.
Yeah,
I didn't
so
even know that
that's
was a
mine.
thing. That has to be one of the new ones they made for like Pokemon Go or something.
I have no idea. But
Cute.
it's
I straight up don't have one this week. I'm
That's
sorry.
totally
Wait,
fine.
I just got one. It's basically like the Bella Edward scene when they're up in the woods and she's like telling him like what she thinks he is, and she's like, "You're white and you suck up blood. I know what you are." And then he's like, "Say it out loud." And then she says tampon. Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that one too.
Yeah.
Classic. All right. Well,
Yeah. Yeah, again, thanks for listening. Follow us on Instagram at My Twilight Fantasy Podcast, on Twitter at Twilight Podcast.
we got to check.
Yeah.
Send us your thoughts and love and whatever you want to give us
Sorry.
You're fine.
at My Twilight Fantasy Podcast at gmail.com. Also, we now have a Patreon page.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Patreon.com/My Twilight Fantasy. You can check out all of our tiers there and get some exclusive content. So,
What's
yeah,
your username?
I think.
Oh, it's just at Twilight. It's like at Twilight Podcast.
On
Yeah,
Twitter.
for Twitter, yeah. Yep. But I think that's everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
peace.
love.
In Twilight.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, God.
I still don't like that.